suit your listening pleasure.
Here's the kind I prefer.
Classic FM 97.3. Continuous music while you work and play.
Big time radio for big timers. Classic FM 97.3, playing every song you know. Stay tuned this Sunday for the most intellectual, interactive radio show. It's The Discourse with Jimi Disu. We're talking politics.
The opposition will do anything to remain in office.
The economy.
Things are really falling apart.
Social well-being.
Chewing gum is dirty and a filthy habit.
Everything in between.
I don't like to call it religion. I like to call it spirituality.
It's The Discourse with Jimi Disu every Sunday at 2 p.m. Brought to you by MTN. Ladies and gentlemen, live from the Classic FM studios in Lagos, it's The Discourse with Jimi Disu. Brought to you by MTN.
It's a goal!
Who? By who? How? When?
It's not the same match we're watching.
Oh! It's a goal! I just saw the goal now. This is my so-called live broadcast. They delay me that too.
Now, don't worry. Let's switch to video call so I can live stream the match for you here from Russia.
Video call? With all these expensive roaming rates?
Not to worry. Data is so cheap with MTN Russia roaming offer.
With a Russia roaming offer, you can get 1.5 gigabyte roaming data for just 2,000 naira. Dial *131*5*4# to activate. Offer valid for 30 days. You can also make calls for 100 naira per minute. Available on Tele2 Russia only.
Wow. See how clear it is. I definitely hear that when you went to your side. Okay. Zoom in for that free kick. It's a goal!
It seems the Russian coach can't dull the Nigerian spirit on this fine day. This is going to be a wonderful game.
In the course of a football match, you'll make a new best friend. Have your first argument with him.
Look at yourself. You not see him now.
Share your first drink.
One for the goal.
Scream at each other. Have a victory hug. And most definitely find new nicknames for yourselves. Because this is Naija, where football lives.
It's a goal!
By who? How? When?
It's not the same match we're watching.
Oh! It's a goal! I just saw the goal now. This is my so-called live broadcast. They delay me that too.
Now, don't worry. Let's switch to video call so I can live stream the match for you here from Russia.
Video call? With all these expensive roaming rates?
Not to worry. Data is so cheap with MTN Russia roaming offer.
With a Russia roaming offer, you can get 1.5 gigabyte roaming data for just 2,000 naira. Dial *131*5*4# to activate. Offer valid for 30 days. You can also make calls for 100 naira per minute. Available on Tele2 Russia only.
Wow. See how clear it is. I definitely hear that when you went to your side. Okay. Zoom in for that free kick. It's a goal! You're listening to The Discourse with Jimi Disu, brought to you by MTN.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's The Discourse with Jimi Disu, brought to you by MTN. And of course, I'm sure you know you've tuned into Classic FM 97.3. Our condolences one more time. Our condolences to those who were involved in the midweek accident. And we ask that may their good souls rest in peace. Amen. Now, because of the guests that I have today, I'm not going to be wasting time because usually talking to Captain Blade would take you more than an hour, but I have an hour within which to talk about the recent crisis. But in case, because it's going to be highly interactive, the Twitter handle is at Classic FM 973. The Instagram page is at Classic FM 973. Okay? The Facebook page is facebook.com/Classic FM 9.73. And then the Classic FM website, I'm sure you know, is classic97.net. Now we get to the issue of the numbers. For WhatsApp, the number is 0909 217 2973. 0909 217 2973. And the studio line, of course, you know if you want to call in, is 0700 973. Let me go through that again. 0700 973. And you can also use the WhatsApp number to call in. Now, please, because of time, we're only allocating them 1 minute, for anybody who calls in. So please, once you call in, give us your name and go straight to the point. Don't even bother saying how much you've enjoyed the program. Just go straight to your point and what you want to be very quick on this. And secondly, I'm going to plead with you like I do at all times. Please try, whatever your emotions are, no matter how agitated you feel you are, try and conceal them, and let's have a very decent conversation. That's what we're doing here. We're not issuing directives or anything. Just let us air out our own views. And they must be moderate. They must be moderate. Under no condition will this program be used as a basis of propaganda or anything. So let's all be very, very careful. And also for you to know, talk is monitored across the world, not just Nigeria now. Across the world, Facebook, WhatsApp, being monitored across the world. So we all have to be very, very careful. You'll be surprised sometimes you go to the US Embassy, you're not given a visa. You don't know that it's one or two things that you have dropped on WhatsApp or your Facebook page or whatever. So let's all be very, very careful. Cap, how are you doing today?
Fine, thank you, sir. Good wet Sunday.
Good wet Sunday. Sorry I had to drag you from your warm bed on the wet day.
Bed, actually. As by the time you called me, I was in the gym.
I know. What's your reaction? I don't want to talk about how we got here because I think we've spoken about that quite a few times. But I'm sure this recent one shocked you. The Plateau State. I'm sure it shocked you when you heard. Or it didn't?
No, it didn't actually.
Because you're a soldier?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
In those days when my mother schools us, she had this popular adage. We got so used to it that even before she starts saying it, we help her repeat it. So it's about condolence visits, high delegation, high power delegation visits, what. The ceremony around it. Then we bury the dead, the unfortunate dead, and wait for the next one to happen. What happened last week or thereabouts was not the first. Not the first. That location has had like 4 baptisms.
That particular location?
Plateau State. Have you forgotten Dogona Hawa?
Yes.
2 years ago. That same place, Dogona Hawa again, where babies were ripped out of their mothers. And, the same thing happened. And we had these very well-dressed demagogues and oratorians who go there, see what has happened, and do what they have to do in their long convoys. They go back, even deploy the Marines to go and sit there, and the 500 meters from the location, you hear a general telling you that he's waiting for directives before he can deploy his men to go and do something that lasted for 6 hours, where he's within earshot. And I wonder whether the president waited for Shehu Shagari's directive to swing into action
way back
when Chad. Yeah. I was still too young in the system then, but at least I knew that happened. Yeah. I was in military school, so I'm not bothered. I'm just sad because the entire situation itself has strategic implications from my own playground now, which is security. It has strategic implications, and I expect that if I can see these strategic implications, then the commander-in-chief, who is a professional, how do I put it now, he is well ahead of me when it comes to military service. I expect if I can see it from my lowly position, he should be able to also see it. I'll share these strategic implications, immediate, mid-term, and long-term for you. Let's look at Nigeria as a gathering of ethnic nationalities. Then let's isolate one particular nationality and call it the Fulani nationality, or the Fulani ethnic nationality. This situation is certainly not an asset for the Fulani ethnic nationality. The reason is simple. If one Jimi Disu becomes the president tomorrow from the western Nigeria, he's not going to be comfortable with a Fulani man as his defense minister, given what we are writing right now. And it's further very saddening that on the seat of governance, the helmsman, the president, is Fulani. If you do the psychographics of Nigerian politics, no matter how festering the problem, when your son is on seat, you tend to do things that will not malign his tenure. But this one is not like that. So it's beginning to give people the impression that he is either behind it or he is behind it. I expect him to have done some counter-intelligence now to be able to see what I'm seeing. So you are going to leave your seat and look at it from the other side of the table, from your adversary's point of view, and see through his eyes. So you can imagine what will happen if tomorrow a young Fulani man, Nigerian of course, decides to aspire to any national office. These misgivings will be there. And you cannot fault those who will have the misgivings, because a national office requires that all across the nation you pull votes together, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, how would your children, Fulanis as they are called, be doing this and you haven't disowned them? There are certain things I will do in our family home today. I'm 47, but I'm telling you, my father and his cousins and his elders in my family, they will disown me. There are certain taboos you can't just even dream of, talk less of even begin to think of. So what I'm simply trying to say is that it does not add up. The president should know that this thing is not going to augur well for him. It is clear. Now we come to Makban and Hotel Kore. As Mieti Allah. It's Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. Makban. So if Jimi Disu owns 100 or 1,000 heads of cattle, you're a cattle breeder and you could join that association. Mieti Allah, unfortunately, from what I have been seeing, are struggling to own a problem that is really not theirs, because we have become addicted to this cancer called ethnicity. We don't look at the act, we rather look at the persona.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who is involved. Okay? It doesn't matter who is involved. Whatever is done is what we should be looking at. Because we look at ethnicity and other shenanigans, our laws have become useless. The law itself has no ethnic affiliation, has no religious coloration. It's just the law. And it says something about everything. So if you run foul of the law, regardless whether you are a Fulani like me or not, you should go and face what you've done. What we tend to do, and which is unfortunate, is by the time you start saying, no, he's being tried because he's a Fulani man, you have unwittingly owned a problem. Mieti Allah has unwittingly told the world, and that is quite heartbreaking for me, that we identify with this act and they are part of us. And so if I call for the proscribing of that Mieti Allah, I won't be wrong. So you have all sorts, low-grade minded local champions sitting down, shooting on all cylinders and spewing trash.
Okay, let me ask you, from your own thinking and given your experience as a security person, were those 100 people, were they killed by either herdsmen who were either Fulani or of some other nationality?
Beautiful.
2 questions.
Those people, one thing remains clear. Whoever killed them or did not kill them, they remain dead. They are dead. They were murdered. Now the thing is this: whether they were killed by herdsmen, Fulani or not, simply underscores what we were saying years back when this problem started. When a problem starts and it is not nipped in the bud boldly and decisively. Don't forget, there was a time the Agatus went through worse. I sat with the number 3 citizen in this country then, with the solution to it. The Agatus, in fact, what you saw in Jos is like maybe a fraction of what the Agatus went through. If you don't nip a bud, if you don't need to nip a problem in the bud, what happens? Others will jump on the boss of that problem to to exploit their own selfish gains. So because problem is allowed to fester, nil consequences for all manner of negligence and incompetence, nil consequences, others will jump on the bus and exploit it to get to where they are going to. You see, it's like those bus conductors in Lagos, with all due respect, who hang behind your bus.
Yes.
They're actually bus conductors. He ran in to look for change somewhere. His driver left him and is well ahead in the traffic. So he jumps on the second one and leverages on the back bumper to catch up with his own bus.
Yes.
Then jumps off it when it is convenient and goes his way. Now,
Yes.
the same thing, if you don't nip a problem in the bud, it becomes a vehicle for others to actually do what they want to do, make their credits, and allow you take the blame.
So, in essence, you're saying that, like Badegeshi, Olanrewaju says here, that I'm bold to say Fulanis are not behind this.
Absolutely. You cannot say they are behind it. You can also not say they are not behind it, because it's gotten all mixed up now. It's a mishmash of rubbish. But then one thing we can certainly say is an act of murder was committed. Let me give you a typical scenario so it will not look as if one is being one-sided here. If 300 of my cattle was killed, and I don't like it, definitely no one will. That for me is a strategic platform upon which to approach Macban. We get the right skill sets, the right, is it lawyers or attorneys, whatever we have, we bring them together, and I ask for compensation from that community. Now, you went out there and wiped out innocent people, citizens, whom you can't even prove are the particular ones who killed your cow. You've just, it's like putting a handful of sand into a deliciously made bowl of stew. So you've lost your case. Now you are not even the person who is seeking redress. You are the one who has to be addressed. You are the one who has gone wrong. You've made your matter from, I don't know how to put this in.
From a military perspective, why did it take about 7 hours?
It even took more than 7 hours in previous other situations, which I could begin to tell you. And I'll tell you something now. The simple reason why that happens, as I've told you, in our country today, is nil consequences. There are goals that have been set. Resources are appended to these goals. The resources get claimed. The resources get spent. We don't see no results, and we don't get any consequences. So what is actually the fastest way to get money today in Nigeria is just do anything you want to do. You will go scot-free. In fact, if you want to do things the right way, people are not encouraged to do things the right way. You are probably not even going to get anywhere. It is even when you do it well that you probably not get anywhere, because you'll be moving against a horde of traffic where things are going left to right and you are going right to left. There is nil consequences. It's in Nigeria you see public office holders who blunder religiously and tell you, I will not resign. And we just sit down and accept that from them. These are human beings like me. They have mothers like me. And yet we have edified these people and made them the gods they are not.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you think there's some element of foreign involvement in all this?
Let there be alien involvement, Uncle Jimmy. We want to see results. See, if I had brought my
results of what?
Beautiful. Let me give you an example. If I called you now and said, Uncle Jimmy, I want to start a program. What and what do I require to start the program? You gave me an estimate of this is what we require to start a program. And maybe the estimate was 1.5.
Yes.
And I said, okay, for contingency's sake, from 1.5, let me give you 2.2. That's 0.7 more, isn't it?
Yes.
And then you just go in there, you jumble everything up. The end results, okay, the end results that we expect, we do not attain, but all the money goes. And you can't even say what has been done with it. You see, coming back home to what I was trying to say here, there is what we call a national security estimate. It is from a national security estimate brief that we are able to draw out what will be required to move from where we are to where we want to go. And because you are the man in charge of security, I don't know security. If I knew security, you won't be on my cabinet. So you are the one who knows security. I give you what you call a blank slate, and I say, okay, you write your own brief. What can you do? Mark the words. What can you do? So, okay, I think we can start with this. We can start with this in the immediate, this in the midterm, this in the long term. Okay, fine. The immediate, how much will it cost?
Excuse me, sorry.
If you had the senses to calculate how much you will need to solve a problem, then you have to solve it. But then we see people who know how to tell us how much these things cost, but they don't really give us the solutions that the monies are meant to address. But the monies get drawn anyway, and we are told that there are security votes. And I wonder if you could sit down and count your security vote. You have to count something to get to a bottom line, isn't it? At least when you add something up, you are counting.
But is it a question of finance? Okay, let's.
It's a question of nil consequences.
No, let me ask you more direct question. The first about two, but three one, but one by one. Are we losing capacity to handle? I get that feeling that
we have lost capacity. Don't couch it.
Okay, why have we lost capacity?
Language, yes.
Excuse me. Why have we lost capacity? Is it because we have been spread too thin, or we've lost the capacity from a knowledge standpoint?
You see, it's not about any of those two.
Ooh.
The reason why we have lost capacity is because we have indulged in this nil consequences tradition. Let me tell you something. Motivation need not be positive. Yeah. Let me give you an example. I once had a training session and we were supposed to jump out of an aircraft. I went to jump school. I didn't know that the rule says once you shuffle, you must jump. What that means is if you step into that aircraft, it won't land with you. You must jump out. And I went up there, and when the doors were open and it was time to effect the drills for exiting the aircraft, my senses now came back and I discovered, look, this is risky. And someone told me, look, we are either going to throw you out or you jump out.
Really?
Yes. Now, what happened was I struggled a bit. But when my instructors grabbed me and hauled me out, there's what we call your safety line. You know, you strap it into the aircraft. He cut it off to show me that, look, it isn't even there. You know what happened? Immediately the drills came back. I remembered everything. It was like a video slot going through my eyes, and I landed well. So there are times to motivate people, you have to burn the mess out of them. We have gotten to that stage in this country with our law enforcement agencies, particularly whether the armed forces, the national defense, intelligence agencies, whatever. We've gotten to that. You were here when intelligence agencies went and pulled guns to each other's faces.
Yes.
If you were an adversary, wouldn't you laugh and say, now that's the buckle I'm looking for in their ranks? Strike. So if we had enemies then, they would have struck us then and entered us neatly and exited through the other side, because your flanks were buckled. Exactly. Your ranks buckle when your men begin to fight on the streets. Now, what I'm simply trying to tell you here is there must be consequences down to the last man. I once witnessed a very unfortunate incident where a journalist was telling a serving commissioner of police in one of our Nigerian states about an incident that was ongoing as they spoke. And sadly, the man listened patiently to him and said, well, I'm yet to be informed. And I wondered, what was the journalist actually doing? Was he disinforming you? He is informing you. Must it come from the president? So I wonder why a troop commander who is on oath, he has sworn an allegiance to the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic to protect Nigerians by sea, land, or air, will sit down 500 meters to the point of slaughter and say he's waiting for directives. What directives? Did the president wait for directives when the Chadians crossed over into our country before he swung into
chased them
action.
up to Yaoundé.
And took them right into, he had to even be called back. This same president. And we have all manner of lethargics around him as security chieftains, giving him really, it's not adding up.
Well, could the lethargy be that he appears like he wants to micromanage everything? Could some fear have been put into them that?
Well, if you
I don't know.
If you look at it that way, there's been little difference in the security agencies from Jonathan to date. So it's more like nothing will happen is what drives lethargy in this country. Zero consequences. That's why you see, let me give you a typical example of what I mean, so you can, you can think with me, you can see it through my eyes. If you took the graphics, I don't know, we are not visual here, I brought some graphs for you, but next time I'll come, you see them. I can show you certain very intrinsic aspects of this Fulani herdsmen behavioral, that when I say intrinsic is they say when something has intrinsic value. So it is of value to security forces if only they can see it. You see, it has always been they do us, we do them thing. They do us, we do them thing. So if as an intelligence agency or an intelligence operative, I hear that some youth, some Birom, some whatever, went and killed 300 cows supposedly, I will swing immediately into what we call consequency management mode, because I know it is a is it, how do they call it, do me I do you thing. So we will be expecting a reprisal, and immediately what I'm going to do is to throw a visual perimeter around that community. And what is a visual perimeter? My men are going to be there. They are going to enter into serious surveillance, but they won't make contact with anyone. They will just be the normal citizens. And the moment we get hints that a first gunshot has been fired, before you know it, we are going to, because my troop will already be on standby. A warning order would have been given with no notice to move. You know what that means? When you are getting a warning order with no notice to move, it means you can move now. So I'm going to put those troops in the garrison on standby and say, based on this information, I'm expecting a reprisal, plus minus 30 days. And if you go into the trend analysis of these things, you will see what I'm saying gapingly. Next time you hear this man's cattle was stolen or this, just start counting. Before you cross 30, you're going to see it come. And these people just don't get it. That's why I said they don't do it, because it's a zero consequence. Look, whether you do or you don't do, nothing will happen. But then, these places have become El Dorados, seemingly. A lot of money is being voted in. People are spending this money, but we're not seeing results. So where's the money going?
So are you implying that it's probably a time to, rejiggle the security forces at the head?
Long past the time.
Long past the time.
If I had been a service chief, if I had been a police chief, my troop commanders would have gotten it straight. One incident, one commander. One incident within your area of responsibility, one commander. If you have to shake hands with your men and clap for them to get on it and wrap their hands around it, well, just have it behind. And the same thing goes up to the IG, up to the service chiefs. If I sit down in the office as a president, better curb it. If I have to come down and do it for you, then I'll take your job because I'm doing your job.
But you luckily, I mean, you're out of service, but I'm sure those who are in service now, your comrades must be, the very least, to be a brigadier.
They are brigadier generals.
Brigadier general, yes. Is it an issue of morale? Is it that the armed forces sometimes could be affected by the external politics? Because I remember saying that during the week in my analysis that we must all remember, as we speak, members of the armed forces, most of them will be listening, some of them will be listening to the program. They get views, they read the same papers, and so on and so forth. Do we have a united army, do you think? Or is morale low? And why would that be?
Let me put it to you this way. There is no other option other than unity in the army. It's like an army. If the army was a color, I'll say it is a whiteboard. So if you are small as a black speck, you will stand out like a sore thumb. You know what uniformity is? If we all wore our buttons, if you see soldiers dressed, if one was not fixing a button, you spot him from a mile, because everything is the same. Conformity. So if we all dressed,
I remember you telling me that I asked you, why do people march, salute, turn left, right? You said it's so that there will be unity in thought,
one mind. That's it. You don't even see.
Is there a crack in that?
There isn't a crack. Let me tell you why there isn't a crack. Everything is, how do I put it now? It's like a pyramid. Okay? From up down. And at the tip of the pyramid is the head. And the head himself is like the arrowhead, right? You either conform or you don't conform. Now, if the arrowhead is moving in ways he shouldn't, and you wanted to move in ways you should, you wouldn't be conforming. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. You wouldn't be conforming. That will amount to career suicide. Yes. A lot of people are victims of that. And right now, as I speak to you, call it the flip side of democracy. The army is part of a democracy. And because they are part of a democracy, the same way you angle and position in the houses of assembly and horse trade, it's also happening in the ranks. It's also happening in the ranks. Everybody is looking at what best to do, how best to behave, so you can align and propel the career. But at whose expense? At the expense of the job you were called to do. Now, the sad thing about this is because we are not results driven, and we are kind of very inane to this nil consequences thing, the same people who give us nil consequences, we troop out in our droves to go and vote them back in. There is nothing like appraisal, performance appraisal. There is really nothing like performance appraisal. Rather, you see the president doing his own performance appraisal through Lai Mohammed. No, it's true.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
when governors have to start publishing the color of the roads they built in papers, then you know that this man is insecure. When you have to start wishing your IG or the chief happy birthday in the pages of newspaper, you're looking at a commander who is just patching his gari. I don't need to wish you happy birthday.
I saw that during the week, and I commented.
If you are looking for the real hands that will actually hold ground, my results speak for me, except if you don't want to solve problems. So basically, that's what you get. Today we have, and yes, it is a fact. We have come to that because, believe me, I read a report that was written by the United States Air Force University. A group of generals wrote it. And you know what? They are already preparing aids, military support, and what have you, that they will swing into action and bring here once we fail. They are not waiting for us to fail because we seem to be hell-bent towards that. I have that report. I'll give it to you before I leave the studio.
Repeat the report. The report on what?
The report itself.
Yes.
The title of that report is Failed State. And they are thinking from the future. They've analyzed what 170 million refugees can do. So they are already building up all the contingencies. They are building up all the relief. They are building up all the systems that will respond once it happens. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you that we're one very large, unserious combination of ethnic nationalities.
To be clear, this report, is it on any failed state or on Nigeria?
Nigeria specifically. Political, cultural, economic, financial, everything. The effect, the reaped effect, the immediate, the collateral, the mid, the long term of it, what they can see even up to 2030. And how they can be best positioned once it starts happening. They say effect mode, whatever they call it, the effect plan B, and immediately they activate plan B.
Are you plan of the plan?
Sorry?
I'm part of the plan.
I'm not part of the plan, but because I'm curious enough. Because I'm curious enough.
How did you get such a report? Is it there in public?
That is not to be divulged. Yeah.
Let me pay my bills first. We're going to take a short break. Okay, we'll take a short break, and when I come back, we're going to try and see if there is any external influence in this crisis. So you don't go away. Then, of course, we'll take your tweets, your telephone calls, and your WhatsApp messages. Stand by. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
It's a goal!
Which goal? By who? How? When?
It's not the same match we're watching.
Oh! It's a goal! I just saw the goal now. This my so-called live broadcast. They delay me that too.
Now, don't worry. Let's switch to video call so I can live stream the match for you here from Russia.
Video call? With all these expensive roaming rates?
Not to worry. Data is so cheap with MTN Russia roaming offer.
With the Russia roaming offer, you can get 1.5 gigabyte roaming data for just 2,000 naira. Dial *131*5*4# to activate. Offer valid for 30 days. You can also make calls for 100 naira per minute. Available on Tele2 Russia only.
Wow. See how clear it is. I definitely hear that when you go when they're your side. Okay. Zoom in for that free kick. It's a goal!
It seems the Russian coach can't dull the Nigerian spirit on this fine day. This is going to be a wonderful game.
In the course of a football match, you'll make a new best friend. Have your first argument with him.
Look at yourself. You don't see him now.
Share your first drink. Scream at each other. Have a victory hug. And most definitely find new nicknames for yourself. Because this is Naija, where football lives.
It's a goal!
Which goal? By who? How? When?
It's not the same match we're watching.
Oh! It's a goal! I just saw the goal now. This my so-called live broadcast. They delay me that too.
Now, don't worry. Let's switch to video call so I can live stream the match for you here from Russia.
Video call? With all these expensive roaming rates?
Not to worry. Data is so cheap with MTN Russia roaming offer.
With the Russia roaming offer, you can get 1.5 gigabyte roaming data for just 2,000 naira. Dial *131*5*4# to activate. Offer valid for 30 days. You can also make calls for 100 naira per minute. Available on Tele2 Russia only.
Wow. See how clear it is. I definitely hear that when you go when they're your side. Okay. Zoom in for that free kick. It's a goal!
You're listening to The Discourse with Jimi Disu, brought to you by MTN.
Welcome back to The Discourse with Jimi Disu, brought to you by MTN. And I still have in the studio, he hasn't gone anywhere, Captain Blade. The Twitter lines are okay. What the guessing says that Captain Blade, I just read all the tweets. So with such reports coming from the Americans, believe this a problem has external interference, and so on and so forth. Good afternoon, Uncle Jimmy. Now, as much as I agree with Captain Blade, the situation in the country today is much different, ranging from overstretching the military and the wicked politicians, as well as these wicked religious bodies and so on and so forth. I've told myself, don't read shorthand, but I'll never listen. Alabadakwe is asking a question which you will ask as you react. He says, I don't know why Captain Blade is a captain. He's a retired captain. He says he doesn't know why he promoted you. Colonel Blade is out of service. He said, I can see he has the solutions which is unique to defeat the herdsmen and so on and so forth. So many tweets. Do we have a call? What about, let me see the WhatsApp. Hello, Mr. Jimi Disu. The president has refused to reshuffle or rejig his cabinet or security heads. That is army, police, etc. He can't tell us this is the best we have around, okay? Kelvin from Sule says, Captain Blade, I left what I'm doing now. Is this the same Kelvin? He's back, so he's alive. I'm happy about that. He says, I left what I'm doing now to listen to you. God bless you for your sincere analysis. The picture you just painted is the perception in town. The group that said they will not obey the law enacted by the state, who are they? And why is the central government sloppy in handling this agreement? I think I'd like you to react to this Kelvin statement. You heard it?
Yes, I've had this Kelvin statement. Okay. And I'm going to react to it this way.
Yes.
When you have the political center stage in a country actually usurped by a mentality or a mindset, this is what you get. Today, I speak to you as someone who really doesn't give a damn about what anyone will say. Because first, I'm a Nigerian. Then next, anything else. If you observe critically, we tend to like to use language power, as we call it. And anywhere you hear people moving from the formal official language to their native language, they are seeking to either go under your skin or they are seeking to surmount one legality somewhere. Yes. Now, this thing you are seeing is very, very simple. The president seems to fall shy of calling his kingsmen to order. I am particularly worried because let me tell you something that will be happening in this country in the next 5-6 years. Within the armed forces, there will be serious concern. Within the police, there will be serious concern. Because having maligned this ethnic nationality, communities will even reject DPOs if they are Fulanis. But the poor guy just has a career and wants to serve. And my own elder, my Etijo, he doesn't seem to see it. Etijo in Fulani is what you call Alagwa.
Alagwa.
Yes. He doesn't seem to see it. What exactly are you doing? Listen, I just said something. There are certain things your son will do. You bring out your belt and twerk him a bit. These things you are seeing from that position he's taking, the only way the public are going to actually decode that is that you are behind it. I have film clips here I show you. You won't believe it. These film clips were brought to me firsthand. If you see how these bandits live in the bushes, they have deep freezers, they eat barbecue, they have standby generators. If you see the sizes of the gens they are using, that's why people are even making money supplying them fuel. The reason is because you haven't taken bold, decisive action on just one. There are solutions to these problems. You see, let me tell you something. Once upon a time, hijab was so sensitive an issue in the northeastern operations, whether to ban it or not. Now, the hijab thing is cultural to the Islamic religion. So you couldn't say, no, don't wear hijab. But there is solution on how you can have everybody wear whatever kind of hijab they want to wear. And it will not be
a safety problem.
A safety problem. The same thing with this one. We could have this solution, if we had right-thinking people, I'm sorry to use the term because when you see the number of people who have died, if we had right-thinking people, the Minister of Agriculture can pocket this problem. But the thing with these people, as I told you, is that for every act and atrocity you see happening in this country, there are people who smile to the banks. There are people who smile to the banks. You see the IDPs today, the IDPs are an El Dorado. The crisis has to be stoked in one way or the other so the IDPs can be kept running, so the monies can keep coming, so some people can keep stealing. Why? Is because zero results. We are not results driven. Nil results, nil consequences. If you really want to know whether the money is that, it's simple sense, Uncle Jimi. Go and grab any 10 women, 10 children and 10 youths from any IDP, anyone, go and bring them. Give them to me. I'll take them to a nutritionist. There are nutritionists with skill sets that will take samples and tell me whether these people have even eaten anything good in the last 3 months or not. So when you tell me you are spending 14,000 per day per person in the IDPs, I'll look at you and ask you, what are they eating, sand? Here is the report. But when you have low-grade minded people who are avowed to steal, And they even surround this one man who has integrity. Whatever they tell him is what is right. So the best way he can do is results.
Let me say something, Captain Blade, and I'm beginning to think that the theory I've had all the time could be wrong. I always thought that it's preferable to have a president with a military background because of things like this. But now, this is almost worse than what has happened under Jonathan.
Yes, Uncle Jimmy, I will understand if you think like that based on the fact
but I'm no longer thinking like that.
Yes, based on the fact that in your own time, or you understand?
Yes.
You have.
It was the military of then.
Yes, you've been around longer than us. And we also are coming. But if you ask a millennial this question, he will tell you not quite. A millennial is anyone that was born from the year 2000 to date, or slightly before 2000. Then we already have super millennials coming in anyway. Super millennials are already being born. Now,
so what are we?
We actually no. There is this we come from Generation X. Before us there was the baby boomer generation. Then the Industrial Revolution generation. Okay. Each generation was born in a time when certain things were trendy. Yes, today, the ones being born today, they actually get questions answered by just touching buttons on Google.
Yeah.
Me and you had to go to the library in uni and hunt for the books.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that if you are looking at it from today's people's perception, and they are actually the bulk, we have a youth bulge of 102 million millennials. Call them youth. And when I say youth, please, I'm not talking of people look at me, they call me a youth, I feel insulted.
But the former,
I'm not.
The one in PDP was 62
youth
then.
Is anybody from 18 to 34, please. And I left that one. I can't remember how many years ago I was 34. Anyway, to answer your question, the millennials don't see it this way, and the reason is simple. In a way that we will all understand, was Arsene Wenger ever a footballer? I don't recall hearing any Arsene Wenger when I was watching football in those days. But he was able to put together what I want to call a 7-star brand.
Yeah.
Arsenal is a 7-star brand. Whether you like it or not, you have to give it to them.
Yes.
Now that is what we're talking about. You don't have to have been a general to be able to sit down and bring only the best around you and attract only the best. And that is why I say it's about results. I could call you today and say, Uncle Jimmy, come and be my chief of XYZ staff. And you say, the honor is mine. So I say, fine. So this is my own menu of problems. Which ones can you solve? You could pick the immediate, the low-hanging fruits and say, okay, let's solve this, and this. And I say, fine. How much time will you need to pocket all these ones you have chosen? You are writing your own script. I'm not giving you orders. And you say, okay, this problem, since I've been in there from my young age of 23 to date, I've risen to be general. I think I will be able to pocket these ones in the next XYZ period of time. So what will you require to do it? Oh, I need the whole entire United States Treasury reserve or whatever. No problem. You can have that and half of it again. But you know what? You give me those results. Because if you don't, I'll have to let you go. That's how it is done. Now, once it starts from there, you're going to get your marching orders from the chief, and you're going to call your commanders too and repeat the same thing. Take your resources, pick the one you can solve, but make sure you bring me results. And the commanders, that's how it goes down the line. But as I speak to you today, not only in the military, all over, even in the ministries, is nil results, nil consequences. People just come and say that I've been to some states, civil service offices, they sell drinks and beverages on tables in the office. I don't want to be, I don't want to be mischievous. I'll start reeling names now. If you go there to the office, you buy.
In Lagos,
In Lagos, all over the federation. I'm telling you.
Do they say paraga too?
What I'm telling you, these things I don't. So, nil results, nil consequences. Okay. Salaries are not paid, nobody is fired. I have worked in private companies where your appraisal is written on whether you are able to pay salary on the 25th or not. So when they are paying productivity, they are going to gauge all that one. And mark it
before we go, because we have just 3 or 4 more minutes.
Okay.
Is there any external influence in all this?
Of course. Of course. Uncle Jimmy, within the intelligence community, we know that one man's meat is another man's poison. Yes, we know that. We know that. Time was.
You remind me of Chino Achebe, you know?
Yes.
Every question starts with a proverb.
Exactly. I recall there was a time we had to kidnap a student union leader. You know why? Because one of the cult groups clashed with him and they wanted him dead. But we knew that if he gets killed, the whole world will say it's Abacha. So we didn't want that, and the best way we could just do it, we can't go and convince him to come with us. He won't come. He said they want to go and kill him.
Yes.
We had to kidnap him. And we staged it so perfectly well. And when we got him to a safe house, we briefed him and showed him evidence and proof. And when we kept him long enough to have routed what would have happened, we released him and he went back again and continued what he was doing. Of course, there are external people who are gaining. I know non-governmental organizations who are importing ink in barrels because there is business in the Northeast to write about. And anytime they see a headway is being made, they will throw one spanner. And we have to be careful with them. I've heard you speak about them and say, look, take what they are saying, but take it with a pinch of salt. They've been able to build their credibility around their brand the same way Arsenal and Arsene Wenger built a brand.
Yes.
So if they smuggle in one or two fallacies there, you will just swallow it, you will know. And that's where the intelligence agencies have to be up and doing. That's where the intelligence agencies have to be up and doing. Subconscious Nigeria is fallow. Anything you plant there grows. The intelligence agencies are not showing the propensity to seize subconscious Nigeria. Rather, they are quarreling among themselves. We are seeing all manner of low-grade approach to intelligence acquisition and what. We don't even have a grassroots intelligence architecture. If you talk about intelligence, everybody wants to be posted to Abuja.
Yeah.
We are talking. Look, you need a grassroots intelligence approach to all the problems we have. The bandits are not coming to Abuja to raid the National Assembly because they know all is set and stable there. They will go in from where the cracks are in New York, and that's why you see them. They are all doing it. In areas where there is virtually no security presence. The further you go from state capitals, the further you go from any security at all. If you doubt it, travel by road and see.
Well, I think this, again, time is our greatest enemy, Cap.
It's everybody's.
It's everybody's enemy. Whilst we're just warming up, we have to go.
It doesn't wait for anyone.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Captain Blade. As usual, I'm sure you're almost tired of me calling you, but yeah, as far as I'm concerned,
you said I'm almost, which means I'm not yet tired.
Yeah, not yet tired. No, I left a gap.
Let's leave it.
I left a gap. Yes, but I must say that we always value your contribution. I've learned quite a few things here.
Thank you.
And what worries me most is how the things are politicized. Really? The biggest worry being the social media.
That's another problem entirely.
With the videos and whatever and the biggest problem I have in the course of doing my job is not even pressure.
And do you know the funny thing?
Yes.
I have a niece who lost a job with a multinational.
Yes.
Because of the content of her social media
yes.
page.
You know, I was just saying that
I'm telling you, she wept like if her eyes would drop. But I told her, be a hand you take.
Yes. The level of misinformation, like I was saying, it's not the pressure that I get on my job.
Yeah.
The biggest worry that I have is to analyze the information set in front of me, even in the newspapers.
Absolutely.
Is to try to relate the headlines and the impression it has caused.
Absolutely.
With if you actually read, you see quite a lot of that now. Even in the newspapers, you find that the editorials are skewed towards the thinking. You can easily see it.
Absolutely.
So and information is the biggest weapon. It is a pity most people don't see it.
Yes, indeed.
What information can do, 1,000 guns cannot.
That's true.
If you want to set a country on fire with one statement, you can. If you wanted to use a gun, how many guns would you have?
Exactly.
So that bothers me too. And we'll continue to do our best, try to put the country on the straight and narrow. Somebody sent me a compendium of photographs from Rwanda. I was very, very upset. They've just opened a new Volkswagen plant. The president gave a beautiful speech.
Kagame,
he drove himself to the place, and then he said, as far as he's concerned, he doesn't know why it is Africans that must be buying Tokunbo cars.
Absolutely.
That he can't understand. And he said it from the heart.
Yes.
And I said, when will my country, rather than find a way for us to progress? We haven't moved that age since 90 years ago.
The world has even moved from planet Earth to other planets.
We are still,
from intelligence quotients to artificial intelligence. We are still measuring progress in terms of clan and ethnicity. Territories are not measured by geographical boundaries anymore. Territories today are measured by virtual boundaries. We are still having ethnic border, and I'm looking and wondering. See, let me recommend something for my listeners. Please go and Google this little thing. It's called Silent War with Quiet Weapons. Then you will be very careful.
Silent War
with Quiet Weapons. Yes. Silent Wars with Quiet Weapons. You can download that document, you read it. Your life will never be the same again. You mind what you share. You mind what you absorb. And these are things that were done as far back as
1948.
Yes, so we've been absorbing all of that. So it begins to explain to you why we behave the way we do, why we think the way we do. We were programmed to do just that.
I'm sure people don't appreciate that. Even religion is a very good weapon.
Karl Marx said it's the opium of the masses.
It's probably the easiest.
Have you ever had them quarrel in the Senate over religion? Have you ever had them quarrel in the Senate over